there. I'm Anna with VSAC, and I'm here talking with Gary Morin, who's going to tell us a little bit more about his work. So Gary, I'll have you start by telling us what is it you do for work?
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me. So I am a construction operations manager and project manager for a large HVAC and plumbing contractor here in Vermont. We do everything from, fixture installs up to big boiler rooms, air handlers, you name it. And in my position, I oversee the whole department. So I bid the work, then I distribute it to the right project manager, whether it's myself or some of my other project managers. And then we get the jobs going from there. We do job buyouts. We put the proper manpower to it. And then throughout the job process, we make sure it stays on budget and on time. And then hopefully it comes in on budget.
That's great. Thanks. And you talked a little bit about this already, but is there anything else you would want to say about what your job entails?
It can be stressful at times. There's a lot of, unfortunately, the details are the devils are always in the details. So in this position, you got to try and stay on top of everything because you got to read the specs and read the drawings, make sure everything jives. If you bid it a certain way per the spec, you don't want to try and install something different. So as a PM or project manager or even operation manager, you got to be very detail oriented. So make sure you're following by the book, because otherwise it can come back to bite you in the end. Because if the owner didn't want it that certain way, then well, that's on you now. So it's a very rewarding position because you get to see these new buildings built up, new systems. You go into this big empty room that starts off as a blank canvas, and then you put this huge boiler plant system in with all kinds of piping, and it kind of looks like artwork. It's really cool and fun and satisfying.
That's great. Thanks. Can you tell us a little bit more about your education and career background and how you came into this kind of work?
So yeah, growing up, I've always been, so my dad, grandfather, uncles, I've had somebody in a different trade in the family growing up. So I've always been exposed to it, helping my grandfather build a deck, my dad work on a mower or whatever it was. And then in high school, I took shop class and building trades. And I knew that, the trades where I wanted to be. I was always good at building stuff and I enjoyed it, working with, your hands and watching these structures be built up. It wasn't until I went to VTC for construction management, knowing I wanted to be in the office eventually. That summer, after my first year, my dad got me into pipe fitting for a local mechanical contractor, and then I fell in love with it. I knew that was it. There wasn't a lot of young people getting into it, so I knew it had a lot of potential, and that's when I started. Right between high school and college. Learned a lot from my dad, and then grew under a couple of good foremans and supers. And when we had downtime, they threw me in the office to work on estimating and a little bit of project management. And I did really well with that too. And then with my college background, it helped. I wouldn't say I necessarily needed the college background. It just kind of skipped a couple stones for me. But I probably contribute most of it to my, uncles being involved with it. And nobody said, you have to go to college, you have to go to college. There's this whole world of trades that's just endless opportunity.
That's great. Thanks. And you talked a little bit about this already too, but could you tell us some of your favorite things about your work?
One of I love training people. I love leading people. It's fun to watch. In particular, I had a guy come right out of high school. He was in a trade program. I worked with him, and one of my best foremen worked with him and groomed him. And then, 4 or 5 years later, he's already in a truck running work. So it's just real satisfying to see that, somebody right out of high school, super green. You're able to coach him and lead him in a direction. And now he's enjoying it. He's doing well. I also like the aspect of working with owners too, because you get to, kind of bring their dream to reality. They envision it. They just don't know how to get it there. So you come in and give them some ideas, maybe that system's not quite right, but if we go with this system, it's going to put you where you want to be, maybe save you a little money, makes your building more efficient. Those are probably the two best parts. I would say the people, working with the people, and then the owners.
Thanks. And what are some of the things you find the most challenging about the work?
Challenging is probably it's very fast paced. It's hard to keep up with deadlines a lot. not all GCs are super forgiving and friendly to work with. You got to hit a deadline. If you don't hit it, that's on you. And sometimes stuff's out of your hands. Second is probably the lack of people getting into the trade, because that makes it real hard to either grow your business or just complete what jobs you have, because there's just not a lot of people in it anymore. So I'd say that's probably the most stressful part. Getting the work is relatively easy, but putting the right manpower on it is really tough with the shortage.
Yeah, that makes sense. Could you walk us through what a typical day might look like?
Yeah, I'll try. It varies day to day, because one of the nice things about this trade is it's, no job's the same. Everything's different. You could be doing something as small as changing a little bathroom group out, or, a huge multi-million-dollar, high-rise type of thing. So a typical day, I always try to start the day off, setting my goals, come in, answer emails, set my goals for the day, make sure my teams get everything they need, see if they need anything. And then from about 8 o'clock on is when you're almost just answering calls and trying to put fires out and come up with solutions to problems. So a nice part of that thing is it always keeps you on your toes. You're always learning. You're always trying to help. The nice part of it is, if I don't know it, I got a lot of peers I can look to or go online nowadays. And so there's never one day that's the same. It's always changing. But for the most part, you're always trying to see how to make the day progress and keep the projects on track and keep your team going.
Thanks. And what do you think would make someone a good fit for this kind of work if they're thinking about it?
We keep it real simple. We always say attitude and aptitude. If you have a great attitude, we can train you to do the rest. And then, if you're willing to just show up every day and you can retain stuff, you're gonna do great. But we always try to hire good people, people that want to come to work, not the people that are grumpy or something's never right. That's just not going to work out, because that's just not the type of culture we want. And people tend to work better together when everybody's on the same page. You don't have one naysayer saying, "Oh, we can't do it this way, we can't do it that way." So that's how simple we keep it, just attitude and aptitude.
That's great. Thanks. And so if somebody like a middle or high school student was interested in this kind of work down the road, what would you recommend that they do now, like classes or volunteer work or extracurriculars, anything to explore it?
Yeah, if they have an option of a building trades to get into, that's like probably number one. If not, we do job shadowing. Most companies do that, which is great. Or try to get a summer job working with a local outfit, whether it's carpentry, plumbing, heating. At certain ages, you can't work with tools. I'm not sure what that age is, but most of the time there's something you can be doing and just start learning the trade a little bit. Build trades is a huge one. We do a lot of meetings with tech schools locally, and we always tell them, it starts with the parents. Parents got to know more about the trades. There seems to be a stigma with the trades for some reason. That, you have to go to college, which just isn't true, because there's people in the trades that are making, hand over fists more than people that have college degrees, and just a lot of options out there.
Thanks. And that's the perfect lead into the next question, which is, what kind of education or training do you think they should be thinking about down the road to help them succeed in this kind of work?
Well, the nice thing about most, like us in particular, we will put you through trade school, put you through classes, get your apprenticeship, everything. And nothing's going to be better than the hands-on. That's where you're going to get most of your experience. Like I said, leading up to that, if you have a building trades, great, or take some, maybe some online courses or something just to learn about a particular trade if you're interested, just to see what it's all about. Or job shadowing is great too, because you can kind of dabble in a bunch of different things at the same time with certain companies, and I would definitely advise try to do that, because then you can figure out what path you want to go down to, and you can train on, and that way you're not wasting a bunch of your time or somebody else's time trying to learn something like, I don't really like that. That's where the job shadowing really helps, because you can really talk to that person you're job shadowing, saying why they like it, why they don't like it. And we've done it a few times, and it's pretty successful.
Thanks. Anything else or any advice you would want to share with students?
I would say the biggest advice is Always share about, there's always trades. It doesn't have to be college. Share with your parents, share with your friends' parents. Right now, I think the average age in plumbing and heating alone is pushing 60 years of age, which is crazy. When I started in the trades, it was just under 50. So we really need that next generation of talent to come in. But it has to start with the parents, because I think, fortunately, maybe after the baby boomers or whenever it happened, just that stigma, we always had to go, got to go to college, everybody needs a college degree, but we're starting to learn more and more that's not the case. So my one piece of advice would be just that, just share it with everybody, parents, family, teachers, anybody and everybody else listen, just share it.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.